got milk, almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk, raw milk. So which one is the best and which one should we be drinking and which one should we be putting in our nutrition, our healthy living plan? Thoughts?
Man, there's too many options.
Got milk.
You know, as a kid, I loved milk. I used to drink 2%, and then I kind of got it down because I was worried about body fat when I was younger and started going to skim. You know, it's one of those things, I don't barely do any milk anymore. So, but there's so many options out there, and every type of dieting cult craps on the other one for using certain types of milk, you know. I'm not really swayed one way or another. I kind of have my thoughts on all of it, you know, as far as, you know, but we could talk a little bit after we go through each one.
So I'm not against any of it. I personally, as a kid, did skim milk because they told my mother was the best thing because whole milk was so fattening and like we just said. So, and I personally, dairy doesn't love me. So I'm not a milk girl. Even like I love to eat my cereal dry. Like when I'm eating my little protein cereal or I'll throw it in my protein bowl. But when I was a kid, I used to rather eat my cereal dry than with milk. Now I don't do any of it, but I'm not against anything, obviously, because every nutrition component and every food out there has a purpose and everybody is different. So I actually, when I talk to some of my nutrition people, I want to know, obviously, if they have a lactose issue, we're not going to give them milk, right? So there's that.
And that's a big one, right? From the start, because I would say like 60-70% of the population doesn't really tolerate dairy that much. So, you know, I think you got to look at like, well, first off, what issues do you have and which one what one's going to agree with you first. And then it depends on your goals and what you're trying to do with your nutrition plan for sure.
So, but if I was going to recommend some type of if I was going to talk dairy with my clients, I obviously would go with a 2% or some whole, like a full fat milk, because obviously when we are going skim or when we're going fat free, we've got to worry about the chemicals and other things that they're putting in it to be able to make that stuff fat free and watered down.
And if you look too, a lot of times, a lot of people think they're doing better because it's skim. So you might cut the fat, but then you get more sugar depending on the one you get. So it's like, okay, which one are you trying to? What's your diet look like? Are you trying to go lower carb, better fat, or, you know, so.
Yeah. And here, you know, again, and whole milk obviously has more fortified benefits, right? So whole milk obviously has the protein. So for a lot of the people that I'm coaching that are on a really well-balanced nutrition plan, they'll do some, maybe they start with like 8 ounces. They'll do some kind of milk in a shake, right? Just to bump up the protein content. Maybe they want to bump up a little bit of the fat because they're doing some lifting or what that is, whatever they're, you know, obviously scaling it to what works for them. The calcium benefits. I think that if I drink more milk, my calcium will be better for my osteoporosis is not true. I think that's where like more vitamin D comes in.
DK too.
Right? And obviously weight training. And, you know, could whole milk be considered a healthy fat? Maybe. I don't know if I would necessarily put that in a healthy fat category, but there are some benefits to obviously anything being whole. But I would really, you know, primarily make sure that your whole milk has some type of fortified. But again, not everything is fortified the way it's supposed to be on a label. That's my thing. I think that obviously the pros, like we mentioned, is obviously for you know, muscle building, and it does keep you fuller longer because it does have more calories, it has more fat, and it does have more protein. I think some of the reasons that people obviously won't do whole milk is lactose intolerant. I think that also too, some of it has saturated fat, so we need to be careful with that. And if you're trying to watch your calories, we wouldn't necessarily want to take a 200 calorie shake, add 200 calories worth of, you know, milk, and we've got a 400 calorie shake and we haven't even put anything in it yet. So that would be my whole milk thoughts.
And I think to add to that, you know, like preference for taste, you know, like some people, like I don't like the thickness or the, like just I feel like I get phlegmy from, you know, having like regular milk or whole milk. You know, so a lot of times I'll migrate to something thinner, or lately I just put egg whites, liquid pasteurized egg whites. That'll add protein without adding anything else. It thickens it up. It's great for smoothies. So, and then I just make sure I, you know, get enough, you know, calcium, vitamin D, K2 to fill the gaps on what I'm not going to consume. And I'll tell you, you got to be careful too. I remember growing up, my dad was big into the gym and really didn't have much nutrition background. And he would like drink a gallon of whole milk every day.
Oh God.
Right. Because he wanted to get his protein.
Right. It's rocky.
Meanwhile, he ended up with like kidney stones.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, shoot.
So, it's, everything in moderation for sure.
I think that as a society, we don't do anything in moderation, but I think that to switch into the next, if I was going to go into a dairy / what I would say dairy alternative,
yes,
would definitely be almond milk or coconut milk are the two that I have used. And I use them in a shake, and I recommend them in a shake only because a lot of people don't like just the bland taste of a shake in water. So it gives it a little bit more of a creamier texture. Almond milk has a little bit of fortified benefits as well. And it does have a little bit of protein, not as much as people think, because they're like, oh, it's almonds, but we're extracting, from the almonds. So not really. I like the coconut milk for a little bit of the monounsaturated fats. So I'll use it for that too. But then again, I really kind of keep those more on the low side, and I will recommend them for people that really cannot do any type of dairy, but want the dairy feeling kind of situation. And then it's really also the other thing too is with almond milks and the coconut milks is also, and I think it's with any type of the milk alternatives, is reading the ingredients. Yeah. There are a lot of hidden sugars in them. There's these carrageenans. There are palm oils. So there are seed oils in some of them. So we really need to be careful and watch what ingredients. And it's hard. Trust me. I have been coaching clients for a long time and they're like, well, what's the best one? There isn't really a best one. But if you're only going to use it for maybe you make a shake twice a week, or if you're going to take the shake and do it like I like to tell people, half water, half almond milk, kind of like offsets that a little bit. So then it would be, I think, a little bit more beneficial for them if they're trying to kind of cut back on some of those stuff. But honestly, that's just in everything right now in order to keep it preserved.
Yeah, no, I think it's, that'd probably be my go-to for those, just if you want a milkier texture with like a protein shake. Like I said, I'm not a good guy to talk about. I'll drink a water protein shake, no problem. So,
I am too. I'm a water girl.
And I can't tell you the last time I ate cereal, other than trying some of the protein cereals or like the Magic Spoons or some of those other ones. But I do think it's, if you definitely have dairy or lactose issues, you still want to get some of that, like the milky texture. You're not really looking at it as a blockbuster for nutrition as far as adding to your diet. No. For me, I try to, all those ancillary things, try to just make sure I'm not adding a bunch of crap and a bunch of calories is the big thing. Yeah. So
in a nutrition plan, I don't think I really go all in and say, hey, you have to put almond milk or coconut, unless somebody wants it in there. And like if they need something for their coffee, like that's been a big one as of late, is these dairy alternatives in coffee. Like some people like a little splash of whole milk. I'm actually okay with a little splash of whole milk in your coffee if you can tolerate it, or, like they do
so
the
little, so it's
absolutely.
not.
But if not, the other stuff is really hard without all the sugars. So another one that I see this all over social media is this raw milk. Yeah. I'm a little afraid of raw milk. I'm not going to lie. I do not really recommend it. If someone is interested in trying it, I will try to help them find the best source possible. Yeah. Because again, we want to make sure that we're getting something that doesn't have E. coli, something that it's coming from an area where there's cleanliness.
Yes.
I know that a lot of people say that raw is better for the gut microbiome because we're getting probiotics. I think that yes, but there's so many other great things for us to get our gut microbiome balanced that we don't necessarily need to go raw. But I think everybody kind of feels like, oh, maybe I should try it. And I just don't think there's enough research on raw yet for me. Buy a cow
and milk your own cow.
That's all I keep thinking about. Like that's
so there was a period of time where it's funny in the bodybuilding world. I've heard like guys like taking their wives' kids' breast milk and using that, obviously, and even earlier on, they're like, oh, I'm getting the colostrum in the first 5 days, which is actually really good, but don't.
Yeah,
don't just go buy some colostrum. You can supplement the difference if you really want to get some colostrum, but and don't rob your kid of the crucial colostrum that's in there in the first early stages after birth.
I think I just heard that this week. It's so weird. It's so, but I think that the raw milk is one of those things where, again, it's what is, God, if you look at so many of these people through social media, some of these, and some of them like say that they're like in the doctor field and of alternative or, you know, some type of medicine of that way, preventative or alternative medicine. And they're trying all these things. And we're like, oh, this doctor tried it. It's great. You know what? I don't. I think we need to be careful with some of the stuff that's really going on out there.
Once again, we talked about this, you know, in social media or in the world now. People have to feel, how are they different? How can they stand out and stay relevant? And so just decipher the information. You know, be selective on what you decide to do just because someone says it's great or you should do this. Like, do your own research and make your own decision.
I agree. That's why I literally had a client the other day say that she like eats a stick of butter because she saw somebody on social media do it to like.
She got the Kerrygold and she's like,
oh, it's horrible. Yeah. But yeah, so there's obviously we talked alternatives would be almond. We talked coconut. Some of the ones that are coming to the forefront now a little more are oat milk. Soy milk's always been a thing. I think soy milk people are just afraid of because of estrogen dominance. Yeah, they're gonna get man boobs. Man boobs, that is it.
Moobs.
But I've talked about soy on some of my other talks before. And again, how much of the soy milk are we drinking? Are we drinking like cups and cartons of soy milk every single day? Or are we putting it in a smoothie or are we putting it in our coffee? I think a little bit is not going to be a big deal. I do have some reservations with the oat milk only because I have been doing a lot. It tastes
great, I'll tell you that much.
I know. I was doing oat milks in my lattes, and I bought it. I was a big fan, and then I started doing the research on the glyphosates.
Yeah.
And knowing where are the oat sources coming from. And all right, we can go crazy with all of that for sure. Yeah. And if you like your oat milk and you feel that it comes from a good source and the ingredients are clean.
And then like how much oat milk are you drinking?
That's the other part. Exactly right.
Like it's not like you're crushing a gallon of oat milk. I mean, if you are, you probably want to look into that. But.
Yeah. But I think that both of those are fine as well. My nutrition take on most of it is, when it comes to the gut, if somebody is experiencing any type with dairy, any type of bloating or gas or belching or
diarrhea,
anything, diarrhea, bowel situations, then from a nutritional standpoint, I will pull a lot of that out. And I actually won't do an alternative yet. Yeah. I want to make sure that you're feeling exactly where you need to be before we do that. And if you kind of feel fine, then I will take it to another level and then maybe start with one. Maybe you just start with almond milk and then maybe you start with, but I always start with, obviously.
Well, and that's a big one. Small. And we talk about gut quite a bit. It's like when you add something or you try something, pay attention because, if you are getting some digestional discomfort, bloating, gassy, it's causing inflammation in your gut. So you probably shouldn't have it or your body doesn't tolerate it well. And that's a big one. Like, just no matter what it is, whether it be wheat, dairy, gluten, whatever, if you're noticing abnormal like side effects when you do have it, it's probably not good to keep doing it.
Oh,
and
for sure.
If you could cut inflammation, once again, it's going to create so much better, how do I want to say, like you're going to function so much better and less issues down the road. Yeah. So, just getting the inflammatory type things out of your diet, which like you said, some of that people can't tolerate it. And so, soy, I'm going to go back to the soy because that's the big one, whether even like I'm so neutral on a lot of this because end of the day, it's like everything in moderation, find out what you like to do, calorically keep yourself within a certain calorie number, depending on your goal. Mm-hmm. If you're someone trying to lose weight, like try not to add extra calories of things in abundance that aren't really doing much for you. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I think people just need to kind of figure out what their goal is and then what do I like? How can I fit it in so I could get to my goal?
Well, that's exactly right. That's the whole purpose of nutrition planning, and that personalized touch to it is there's times where I will put no dairy in any, like I don't necessarily feel that you have to have dairy in your diet at all or your lifestyle plan. I hate the word diet in your lifestyle plan, unless again, like I personally use almond milk in my coffee because or it's my mushroom coffee, but because I like something that's a little bit of a creamier texture in it. That's probably the only time I will use one of these things. But if I'm working with somebody and somebody like needs those things, I'll add it again in moderation for sure. But I'm not a big, like, we have to have this in our plan. And since inflammation is such a key marker for so many people that we're working with for, the autoimmune and certain, disease situations that people are coming up with that are kind of addressing, in front of me with the people that have the digestive issues. When that happens, it's always gluten, dairy, artificial sweeteners. And for some, it is the soy, because soy is a little bit different than oat, almond, coconut. So we just extract it, but it's not something that I think that we absolutely need for sure.
No, and I guess I kind of got on a rant there for a second. Like, you're not going to get man boobs unless you're like crushing that much soy, or,
No.
like a lot of times, like the guys will be like, oh, vegan vegetarians, you can't eat that way because you're going to end up having too much estrogen, or you're going to create estrogen related side effects. It doesn't work that way.
No. And it's like dairy isn't elevating your cholesterol.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the processed sugars that are elevating the cholesterol. And, it's what you're adding
it's
to
all that
your
other crap you're eating that you probably shouldn't be eating.
Yes,
So
exactly right. So that's the whole foods versus processed.
So your goal, like, obviously it's not one size fits all. It's not, you have certain ones that you like to recommend and work into a plan.
Yeah.
Like I said, your choice would probably be either start with like an almond milk or even a oat milk in moderation. And then, if you do have a lactose problem, is there anything as far as, you already kind of hit, if they have a dairy or lactose problem, like definitely don't sit there and wreck your gut. Just because you like the taste of milk, there are alternatives to it. Honestly, I don't mind. I've tried the lactate one before if you still want it, if you do have a lactose problem. But once again, in moderation, there's still stuff in that one that's, they all have certain things. So it's just way out, the
lactose is, lactose, when they extract that out of the lactate, I think there's another one that's called, it's like
So Good.
They're so good, but it's called like, I forget what it is. Like G4 or that's something like that. I don't even know. That goes to show you how little I like follow the whole dairy trend. But it's look, there's dairy. Dairy's is a fine line for a lot of people. Some people are hypersensitive. Some people aren't. I think that it's not something that you have to put in your plan. Yeah. If you do, and you buy something as a coffee a coffee sweetener, or something that you're going to put in your smoothie, read the ingredients, watch the sugars, watch the palm oils, watch whatever is in there, because obviously they have to put something in there to make it taste good. Because a lot of these things also are flavored. Yep. You'll see unsweetened vanilla or chocolate almond milk, or that adds a whole nother theme into it. Is it good? Yeah. Some people will say to me, oh, well, soy chocolate milk, I give my kids, it's better. Yes. But again, if there's like 10 grams, you're
crushing sugar. It's like, you might as well just give them.
They need water.
Yeah.
They need water.
Yeah. It's, once again, I think for me, it's like, I try to stay away from dairy, but man, if I had to pick my dairy, it's going to be cheese.
I agree with you. I mean, I wish that I loved dairy, but like we talked a little bit right before we started filming today, but my favorites are the stinky cheeses, like my goat, my feta, my blue. Obviously the only time I was able to eat really good cheese was in Italy. But I agree. But, and if you have a dairy issue and you can take like a lactate capsule to help you digest it, then great. But again, don't do that all the time, because that over time, you're not really helping your GI system out. So, just pick and choose what works for your health and your obviously your lifestyle. But so anything else you want to tell them about?
No, I think it goes down to one, what's your plan look like? What do you absolutely have to have and not have to have? And then try to find something you enjoy that's not going to create problems, and, everything in moderation. It's like, I think people get so hyper focused on things, and keep the calories in check. Make sure you respond well to it. Which one do you prefer? If you like this one over the next one, as long as you're not overdoing it, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and I agree. There's no right or wrong dairy choice. You just have to pick what dairy choice works for you. So obviously, don't think that you're not going to gain muscle if you can't have whole milk. Don't think that you're not going to be able to have a better cup of coffee if you can't have, a dairy alternative.
You shouldn't be using milk as your protein source anyways, like your main protein source. No. So
No.
I'm just
no.
going to put that out there. Like there's
No.
other ways to get a better protein source.
Oh my God, for sure. Milk, know which one works for you. And then, obviously guys, any comments, any questions that you have, please feel free to write in the comment section below. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we will catch you guys later.